Hey there, I'm Lawrence from Iwood Cosplay, and today I'm going to show you how I would make Final Fantasy VII's Shinra Soldier Armor. So the first thing I do is I grab my pattern, which consists of the collar and the base of the shoulder pad. As you can see, there's some modifications onto it, so that can fit my shoulder. The next thing I do is grab a 1/2 inch EVA foam, and grab my pattern and prepare for the transfer onto the foam. I secure my pattern using needles. I grab my Sharpie and begin tracing my pattern, making sure I get the registration marks and the inner square. This is the detail I'll add later on. Once that's done, I flip it over and do the exact same thing on the other side. And finally, I trace the collar onto the foam. Once I have my pattern transferred on the foam, I grab my favorite box cutter, making sure it's sharp, and then separating the individual patterns like so. For straight cuts, I like to use a steel ruler, which I picked up at Daiso, which is the Japanese dollar store. Now for a curved cut, I like to use a thinner blade because I found that a thinner blade is more likely to follow a curved cut than a thicker blade. Now when your curve is large, like this part of the shoulder pad, you can use a thicker blade and you'll probably get the same results as a thin one. Now when cutting circles, what I found best is when the center of the circle is towards your torso. If that doesn't make sense, I'll do a follow-up video to explain that in more detail. Now that I have my foam pieces cut out, I'm going to use a chip brush and some contact cement. This contact cement can be bought at your local hardware store, but before you apply the glue, make sure you heat seal it with a heat gun. Oh, and I almost forgot, the heat gun is not only to heat seal the foam, but also to shape the foam. So you can heat shape your foam pieces any way you want. You can use your knees. In this case, I'm using a styrofoam ball on top of a duct tape. And I'm going to press the heated foam and try to mold it as best I can. Now for the edge with the registration marks, where we're going to join the two pieces of foam together, you want to make sure you heat shape this really well. Use your fingertips and almost stretch at the foam to give this nice curve. So now that I heat shaped my foam and I'm happy with the results I got, I'm going to apply some contact cement to the edge with the registration marks. Make sure you don't over apply the contact cement. If you touch the contact cement and it's still coming off on your finger, it's not ready. Just wait a little bit and then fan it out. Okay, so I realized I didn't have the clip in which I applied the contact cement to the other shoulder pad. You want to make sure you do that first before you put them together. If this is your first time using contact cement, here comes the cool part. So here I'm carefully lining up the two pieces of foam together. You want to be extra careful here. This is contact cement, so you only get one shot to put this together, otherwise you'll have to start all over. Towards the tip of the shoulder pad, I added a little flare to the pattern. That's what I'm doing here as I'm pulling the foam up and putting it together. Once I had the two pieces together, I came back with my thumb and went over the seam to try to smooth it out as best I can and shape it some more. Now for the collar piece, in order for it to sit on the shoulder pad, it has to be curved. So that's what I'm going to do with the heat gun. Here I'm using a heat gun to give the shoulder pad just a bit more curve before I add the collar. Now that that's ready, I'm going to use contact cement and apply it to this edge of the shoulder pad and on this lower area of the collar. Once again, just give it a minute and let the contact cement dry before putting the two pieces together. Now that the contact cement is ready to be used, I'm going to line up this edge of the collar with this edge of the shoulder pad. When I put the collar on this build, I like to flip the shoulder pad upside down. I use this arc as a guide to join the two edges of the foam pieces together. I had to stretch and pull the foam to get this piece perfectly fitted. Once I had the collar fully attached to the shoulder pad, I came back with a heat gun to give it one final shape. Okay, so that video was actually cut short. So the final clips was me basically cleaning up this edge where the shoulder pad and the collar joined. I came with a razor blade. You can use a Dremel, basically smooth it out whichever way you want. And that's it. Here you can see the arc. There's that flare I was talking about at the tip. Okay, so that concludes part 1. It's very basic and straightforward. Part 2, stay tuned for that one. I'm going to add the trim, the details, some battle scars, heat it up, and that'll be pretty cool. And then we'll seal it and we'll be done. And another thing is, I want to disclose I'm not a foam master or a foam smith, whatever you want to call it. I actually learned it from people like Evil Ted. So I highly recommend you check those people out, give them some credit. These videos are particularly just for my builds. So if you want to build what I build, you can go to my shop. I'll have a link in the description down below. I do have these patterns available for about $5. If you do end up buying them, thank you. That supports me and my channel and what I do. If you're new here, make sure you subscribe. I do have new projects coming up. For example, like Cloud's shoulder pad. If you want to see what I do in between these videos, follow me on Instagram under at Lawrence_Iwood. I'll have that in the description down below too. Other than that, let me know what you guys think of these videos, and I'll see you guys next time. Thank you.